So thank you. I look forward to introducing our next panel, our platinum sponsor, Mariam Sorond, CEO of NextNav, and Adam Eldert. He is the Director of Public Safety for Fairfax County. So we look forward to this conversation and help bring this conversation a little bit closer to home.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's great to see this room, and this room filled with people who care about this subject. And it is my pleasure and honor to be here with Adam. Adam has an incredible background. Just to introduce him to everyone, he's been in the Marine Corps. He's been a first responder, and right now, Adam is actually the Director of Public Safety in Fairfax County. It's important to hear from Adam because he lives and breathes using positioning, navigation, and timing for what he does. And I live in Fairfax County. NextNav headquarters are in NextNav Fairfax County, and I'm sure many of us over here would like to hear from him. So Adam, anything you would like to add on your background?
Yeah, Mariam, thank you so much for this opportunity to be here today. It's very humbling, to be honest. One of the things in my day-to-day is I oversee the entire IT portfolio for all the public safety agencies within Fairfax County, as well as our land mobile radio system. And I've been overseeing that for the last 15 years. So we have a very robust system that requires and relies on GPS for timing. So that's a kind of good segue, I think.
It is a great segue. So tell us how do you use positioning, navigation, and timing, or PNT, the acronym, for what you do in Fairfax County?
So I'm kind of old school. So back in the day, we used to use map books and ADC maps, and we would get a phone call from the 911 center or a radio call. We'd have to scroll down the address on a piece of tape on a dashboard, and then we'd have to find it in either our first due map book, or we'd have to go to an ADC book if we were responding second due. Now, fast forward 20-something years, now we have everything put through our computer-aided dispatch system, and it gives us a route. Just like if you were to plug into Waze, hey, I need to go to the Capitol today, there's your route, and it'll give you alternate routes. It picks up road closures, things like that. So it's very important for a timely response for first responders to an emergency. That's just that part of it. There's also relative location of other responders to you. So you also see that on the computer-aided dispatch screen. So you can see, oh, where's my next in units, or where are my other police units on the where they positioned with regard to my perimeter, inner, outer, and the like. So you have a number of these different things that just from a situational awareness from a responder level, but then also from an incident management level. And then lastly, as far as the timing goes, that's crucial to our land mobile radio system. Most land mobile radio systems today use some sort of timing to allow those, radio casts, especially when you run a simulcast radio system, in order to have that happen across all that entire radio system. Our radio system covers over 400 square miles. And so we have the same message that transmits across every single tower in our radio system simultaneously. Well, after time, if the timing shifts, then you start losing the signal at that different location, and it goes into, I'm sure you've all heard like digital distortion, where it kind of sounds robotic-y and very broken. That's what happens. So then the message becomes unintelligible, then you can't communicate unless you're using just basically point-to-point communications like old school walkie-talkies or CB radios.
Thank you, Adam. So Diego on the last panel was talking about how his wife, thinks of GPS as navigation, which is what a lot of people do. But I think we should hear from Adam about what does it mean, what happens for you if there's a GPS outage?
Bad stuff. I mean, our radio system, I try to inject a little humor here, but really bad stuff can happen. our radio system can survive if our GPS goes offline for a while, but there gets to a certain point, our backup will start to slip. And there's nothing we can do about that. So without some sort of resiliency and redundancy from an alternative method like a land-based or terrestrial-based PNT system to be able to pick that up, eventually after a month or so, our radio system won't work. That's just science. I can't make it work, right? So that's bad stuff. The other thing that comes down to is, again, tactical location of personnel. So we have solutions that we know exactly where our responders are individually. And so if that goes down, we kind of go back 20, 30 years ago where it's line of sight, or you communicate via radio, but it's best guess, best effort, right? Right now, we actually know within about a foot where these people are physically. And then if you take a look at this image here, when you utilize like Z-axis, which is, I've been after this for about 20 years now, as with most responders, you now have a vertical elevation you can look at and say, there's my resources right there, as opposed to just a big red blob on a 2D map. So all of these things hinge on PNT, GPS, right now today. Without these, we go backwards 20, 30 years, which is unfortunate because our technology should be carrying us forward, allowing us to make better decisions with the information we have, to effect life-saving measures faster, get to places quicker, and avoid any sort of potential problems. Like I said, if we know exactly where that caller is calling from, we can respond directly to that location, except with the exception of, oh, now it doesn't work, so it's somewhere in the neighborhood of. And those are some of the real challenges that I personally lived, where it's like in the area of, not, at this particular location.
Thank you, Adam. And I think this picture is really important, right? It's the concept of 3D PNT, because basically a lot of these PNT services provide a two-dimensional, so where you are on Earth, how far up in a building you are needs to come from another element. And I know you work a little bit with NextNav's 3D positioning. How has that been helping you?
Well, we incorporate into another product that we utilize for testing, and it's actually a game changer because, like I said, all of our other applications are 2D, predominantly because that's just the nature of the beast with GPS location services. Without that Z-axis, having that elevation, it's just, especially when you're talking about downtown Tyson's, Reston, where you might have 20 floors, and now you have an idea. I know when I first went to the fire academy, that was one of the things, commercial structures, 10-foot floors, are somebody laying on top of boxes? Did they fall down on top of boxes? Are they laying on the floor? What floor are they? So instead of sending resources to one specific location, now you're sending to 3 floors, and you're splitting up. So you need 3 times as many personnel just to search that area to locate that individual or individuals. So it detracts from the number of people it takes to mitigate an incident, because you have to spend that many more to try to locate the human casualties.
Adam, when you and I were talking last week in preparation for this, one of the use cases that you talked about that I never thought about actually at NextNav, we go over a lot of these use cases. There's an active shooter, finding an active shooter. I mean, that kind of really stuck with me, right, for a while on all the places where it becomes important to locate something. It's not just to save somebody's life, but it's also to prevent disasters. What other examples have you worked with that?
Lost persons. So with the Z-axis, on a 2D map, you have, without terrain, you just have X and Y. we have areas in Fairfax County that have a significant increase and decrease in slope and terrain, especially down in Great Falls. So there's significant terrain, and we have a lot of kayakers, swimmers, hikers that will go down into the ravine, can't get back up, or they're swept away with the current. So, when you're looking at a 2D map, if you don't know the area real well, your resources may appear that they're side by side when really there's about 50 or 60 feet in elevation deviation from that. And then it's like, how do you get what you need to those resources without, that becomes, technical rescue at that point. You need additional resources as opposed to just trucking some equipment out there and dropping it off. So that's a game changer when you have that. If you can look at that positive and negative elevation to allow for quicker rescue and planning and deployment of personnel.
Yeah, and this is exactly where Dr. Rinaldo was talking about the fact that the GPS technology is great. It's brilliant. It's wonderful. But it's about the fact that it's satellites, and satellites have this vulnerability. And one of these things is around 3D location, because you need a level of accuracy, which Adam it's very important to his job to get that level of accuracy, and that could only really come from these kinds of terrestrial signals to give you that level of accuracy. But we also heard from the last panel and the last question that Diego asked, that maybe we can ask you and go into a little bit detail. If you could ask the Congress or the FCC or any of the agencies for one thing to support you in what you're doing, what would that be?
And I knew this question was going to be asked, and it's like I've always been put on the spot. To have the forward thought process of having a resilient and redundant GPS solution on a terrestrial model, ideally, if it doesn't have to be fixed, ideally it could be man-portable where you have that capability. But to have something that could be ubiquitous, that's terrestrial, that I don't have to sit here and worry about a piece of equipment failing and then, knowing in a few weeks' time, eventually my radio system will slip out of sync and now I can't carry that forward. It's not going to work. So if I had another means to backhaul that PNT across my radio system, then my responders will never have to worry about being out of communications in Fairfax County.
That is great. Thank you so much, Adam. Thanks to everyone who is here. Really appreciate it and what you do, and thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you for having me.
All right.
Adam, Mariam, thank you so much for a fantastic session. Mariam, thank you for your support to make this event a reality today.